It's Bronzebird here with another video. Peace. So, you know, remember I just did a video talking about Black History Month. Especially you can check out the last video I did that I was talking about how a school served chicken, waffles, and watermelon for the first day of Black History Month. Uh, and I had recently seen a couple of videos, a couple of cartoons in particular, where it's all about this whole entire wokeness crap. And one of the videos I had seen, I may or may not do a video on it. I was seeing this show named Velma. I know that there's a lot of people on YouTube that actually thought that this whole entire cartoon named Velma is trash. And it's supposed to be based upon the whole entire Scooby-Doo series, but they focus on the character Velma, the one that was the one with the glasses that used to wear orange and red, and she was clumsy when it came to the glasses and stuff like that. But they created a whole entire new series off of the back of, who was it, Mindy Kipling, I forgot her name, the Indian woman. Oh my God. I have to say this, y'all. We already know that Hollywood is running out of a lot of ideas. And, that is a telltale sign, because they like to take a lot of old franchises of, the intellectual property of all these different cartoons that existed since the 1960s and the 1970s in particular, then make them brand new, do a remix, do a movie to it. And then, it's supposed to be all that. It's beyond that. Cartoons in the 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s. But my reason for making this video today, y'all, is that I had seen things making national headlines, especially the famous cartoon from the early 2000s called The Proud Family, which featured Kayla Pratt, forgot the brother's name, Tommy Davidson, and a couple of other people. The woman from Family Matters did the voice of the grandma. And then it was another woman, I believe, the woman from Friday, the one that was supposed to be the hoochie, for lack of a better term. You know what I'm saying? But, anyway, The Proud Family recently, and I believe I did do a video on this, but The Proud Family recently got rebooted, I believe in 2021. And they wanted to add in the characteristics of the protagonist now being a gay Black kid who hangs out with Penny Proud and her whole entire friend clan and stuff like that. I think it's just complete crap. They didn't need to remake The Proud Family. They could have just came out with a new cartoon. And this is what I always say. Why are these Hollywood executives so afraid to just put out some new cartoons? And it can be original. Even this year in 2023, when I had seen a film out in movies, I believe I seen the film named Megan. Megan is an original classic, and it came out in 2023, which proves, if Hollywood really puts their mind to it, that they could make films, television shows, and whatever else new, and it could be a complete classic. But Hollywood is very lazy. I don't know the intricate parts of why they decide to take old cartoons and old stuff and make it new. But getting to my point, The Proud Family made national headlines, which I'm pretty sure that they did, where they went on the whole entire political wokeness crap, and they decided to go ahead and talk about Black History Month, which I figured they was going to do anyway. It's supposed to be a cartoon catered towards Generation Z, so-called Black kids. So I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about on my screen. We're going to play it out, and then I'm just going to give my commentary afterwards. So, Pete. Fair use.
Middle school. Take a listen.
This country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country.
Tilled this land from sea to sea to sea. First there was rice, tobacco, sugar cane.
Then Whitney did his thing and cotton became king.
And we were its soldiers,
4 million strong,
fighting for America's freedoms, even though we remained America's
slaves.
Built this country. The descendants of slaves continue to build it.
Slaves built this country.
And we, the descendants.
See, the narrative that bothers me about this, and I just have to chime in really quickly, the narrative that bothers me about this is like you have the Buffalo Soldiers, you had the Black infantry that's fought in World War I and II. You know, famously, we already know about the Tuskegee Airmen and all these different things. They fought for their country, but it was just like it's not about being a slave anymore. It's just about doing what they wanted to do to represent America. You know what I mean? And I'm not neglecting that there weren't hardships along the way and the overt racism that so-called Black people had to deal with. But like, really, we have to still go upon this slave, regardless at the end of the day, that wherever you go as a so-called Black person, you will always remain a slave. That's the problem I have with this. But let's continue.
Descendants of slaves in America have earned reparations for their suffering.
And continue to earn reparations every moment we spend submerged in the systemic prejudice, racism, and
White supremacy
that America was founded with and still has not atoned for.
Slaves built this country. Not only field hands, but carpenters, masons,
Blacksmiths, musicians, inventors built cities from Jamestown to New Orleans to Banneker,
Washington, 40 acres and a mule.
We'll take the 40 acres, keep the mule.
We made your families rich.
From the southern plantation heirs
To the northern bankers, to the New England ship owners,
the founding fathers,
former presidents, current senators,
The Illuminati, the New World Order,
slaves built this country.
we had Tubman,
Turner,
Frederick D.
didn't they say Lincoln freed the slaves?
But slaves were men.
And women.
and only we can free ourselves.
Emancipation is not freedom. Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, public schools, feeding private prisons, where we become slaves again.
As we celebrate Juneteenth
For the umpteenth time,
our account is still outstanding.
cause this country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country.
And we demand our 40 acres and a mule.
Bump that. You can keep the mule.
Keep the 40.
We're taking our freedom.
Hey, you know something? I mean, in the back of my head, I want to laugh because it's like I'm not ignoring the hardships that so-called Black people went through in America, right? I'm a so-called African American man. I would be identified as a so-called African American. But this is the funny thing when I see cartoons like this, and they talk about the 40 acres and a mule and demanding reparations, and the culturally insensitive and all this stuff that goes out here with this whole entire woke crap. One thing you recognize in the video is that they always have, and I think there is certain stereotypes that come into this film, me watching this. They always have the downtrodden, docile, so-called white woman being represented to be caring for so-called Black people that start talking all this woke crap, right? They have the so-called black man. The character in there, usually he's gay, right? I think the character is supposed to be represented as gay, or he grew up with two gay dads, a so-called white man and a so-called Black man. Continue on. Then they always have the so-called Black woman being the aggressor to talk about slavery, to talk about how we are owed this and we are owed that. And, to me, watching this, it's a complete mockery. I'm not one to make to ignore the things that we have to go through in America as a so-called African American, but everything that lies is true. It was always going to be about slavery. Then from shifting slavery, they always want to make it into the whole entire mother goddess archetype, in which then they want to go ahead and say, we have to fight for our lives every day on the streets and stuff like that. And they were going to incorporate that BS Black lesbian matters into this whole entire conversation. It's not like they literally said BLM, but we all knew that they were going to uplift that lesbian organization in some type of art form by putting it on the screen and making sure that people saw that we have the posted signs, you have the signs that says stop killing all Black people and all these different things, right? So, my point of making this video is not only is Hollywood running out of ideas, but Hollywood still continues to make sure that they play on the hamstrings of so-called Black people's emotions, especially in February, by bringing up the Proud Family as a main cartoon catered towards Generation Z Black kids, more so that they could still feel that emotionality of being Black in America. I mean, it's shameful, man. It's really shameful, man. I, you know, I wouldn't recommend watching the Proud Family. You know, maybe I'm talking crap, but like, you know, when I seen it, you know, it was an insult. I remember watching the Proud Family of you know, when it first came out. It was a very great moment. Everything was fresh. The ideas was fresh. They got black people to understand about Kwanzaa, to understand about the black household, being able to celebrate so-called black people having a two-parent household, a father, a mother, and all these different things, and the grandmother, the children, and you know what it's like to grow up as a black person in a better environment, right? To grow up in an environment where, you know, you have a diverse group of friends, you know, different races. They had the white girl, they had the Hispanic girl, and you know, they had everybody else, you know what I'm saying? But you know, it's just not doing it for me. You know what I'm saying? I think I believe, again, I did make a video on this, but I definitely want to reach out to the fact and matter that I wouldn't be watching the Proud Family. I mean, if I had children, I can't help that they might come across it. But, you know, to me, Hollywood already ended their mark a while ago. They have nothing to offer for the Generation Z of children. They always want to keep putting out these crap cartoons, and they want to be able to enlist their agendas into it as well. So they want to talk about LGBTQ, and they also want to talk about the emotionality of so-called black people being catered on from a so-called black woman in order to bring that out. But otherwise than that, make sure you give me your thoughts in the comment section. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Peace.